everybody. Welcome to Called Up the Prospects podcast. I'm Chris Peters from FloHockey, joined as always by Cam Robinson from Elite Prospects. And it is August. It is steamy. It is a little hot, but we are talking hockey. And boy, are we excited to be doing it. We are back for another week here after our brief summer hiatus. And Cam, I'm going to kick it over to you in just a second, but I gotta say, the kids hockey, like we're getting into camps, we're getting all that stuff. Like I'm like fired up. Like it's really starting to come to the fore here. And oddly enough, as we speak, QMJHL training camps are opening. So hey, we are well on our way to starting the season, aren't we?
Summer's over. It's over, man. And like actually over where I am because of all these forest fires. It is just like it's apocalyptic out there. It's like dark and it's smoky and the heat's gone now. And I'm at the rink every day. Sometimes my kids skating 2 or 3 times a day. And summer's done. It's over. We're getting back into it now. The wheels are turning. Hlinka's rolling. The good times are coming.
The good times are coming, and the smoke, I can say down here in the United States, we've seen that smoke from a lot of those wildfires, and it's not ideal. So everybody be careful out there. Remember what Smokey Bear said, only you can prevent forest fires. Also lightning. Somehow if we could prevent lightning, that would also be good. Smokey, I think you missed a step there. But either way, we are getting back after it here, Cam. The Hlinka Gretzky Cup, as you noted, it is underway. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk a little bit about Keaton Verhoeff and Gavin McKenna, the discussion that our friend Frank Saravalli threw a bomb into the chat, as it's known, on the Twitter, just saying, hey, maybe Verhoeff, let's not count him out yet. And it actually sparked debate and conversation among other people. And I thought, well, let's bring that here to the two of us to see, is that crazy or is it not crazy? Also, a new segment today. We'll tell you about it later. We'll explain it later, but we got a new segment that we're going to try out that we certainly have not tested at all. So we're going to see how that goes. And then, of course, Beyond Belief, and you have to pick one, as we will always do. But Cam, we're going to start today talking about the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. It is every August. It is obviously, there are years where I think, you can learn a little bit more than others. This is a year where we fully expected Canada to roll. They are undefeated. Sweden is also undefeated. As we record this, it's the day before the semifinals that will feature USA and Canada, Sweden and Finland. So the teams that you often would expect there, even though the Czechs did give Canada a run for their money for at least a little bit in the final preliminary round game on home ice. So neither of the tournament hosts will be playing in the semifinals, which is always good for ticket sales, I'm sure. But anyway, we move on to talk a little bit about some of the players, because obviously some of you are going to be listening to this. The semifinals will have already happened, but we've got some good data so far in terms of the 3 games that we've seen. Canada has certainly been the team that has had the spotlight on it for the NHL draft. We're going to start with them. It's been a fairly, at times it was a little tricky. They had some struggles with Finland. They had some struggles at times with the Czechs. But all in all, they're still winning games, and they've got a lot of talent. And I want to start with a guy that I know that you've been very high on from the very beginning. He's not the guy that has all the focus because he's one of the defensemen, but he's not Keaton Verhoeff, who's the number 1 defenseman, at least projected. And that's Ryan Lynn, who I think everybody that saw him play last year knows there's a lot of game in this young man.
Oh my goodness. I think the world of this player. I think his defensive habits, the way he proactively initiates contact, the way he clogs up lanes with his stick, the way he can skate and pivot and gap up. And, if guys chip it by him, he's able to pivot and get to pucks quickly and retrieve them and move them. He is the number 1 defensive defenseman on that team. Whether or not he's being utilized as such all the time is another story. But I think that this kid is so supremely talented and like detail oriented. I was talking to an NHL scout the other day. My son's a defenseman. He's like, if your kid's serious about playing hockey, you have him watch shift by shift what Ryan Lynn does to learn how to play proper defense for a young player. I think he's spectacular. Let's toss a couple more inches on him here, and then I think that we could be having another player in the discussion for, could someone really challenge Gavin McKenna? Unfortunately, Lynn's probably not going to gain a couple inches over it, but that just means somebody picking in that 6 to 10 range. They're going to get themselves an absolute steal at the end of the year if he makes it that far, because I do think he's going to have just a monster season for the Giants too.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect him to have a big season. He had 53 points last year, which is just incredible. And last year, the defenseman, the young defenseman in the WHL,
So sick.
Verhoeff and Dupont and Lynn, and they put up numbers. And he had 53 points in 60 games last year. Does go with Canada at the World Under-18s, and now he has 5 points through 3 games at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, where he has a chance. He has, won at multiple levels, the under 17 challenge, the U18 Worlds. He was a CHL All Rookie selection. He was a champion at the CSSHL level. I mean, this kid has done a lot of winning in his young career. And I think, the fact is he's a 5'11" right shot defenseman. And yes, if he can, you make that 5'11" a 6'1", all of a sudden, then you're having a conversation where this is a guy that's going to be much higher. He was a top 10 guy for me at the early stages. And I think that there's a chance that he is going to be a big time player. But getting the opportunity to start your season off on the right foot at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup is always a good thing. And that's certainly something that we've seen from Ryan Lynn at this point. So we'll talk more about Ryan Lynn as the season progresses, because he will force us to talk about him all year long, won't he?
You let me chime in one more thing on
Yeah.
Lynn here, just to put into perspective that 53, 55 point season he had last year. So coming into last season, the only draft -1 16-year-old defenseman to break 50 points, the last one to do it was Scotty Niedermayer. Well, Landon
Pretty good.
Dupont did it. And then 2 weeks later, Ryan Lynn did it too. So in the last 30 odd years here, we've had 3. 2 of them just happened too. So, and hanging out with Scotty Niedermayer, pretty decent company. So, production
Not
wise
bad.
too, I was glowing over his defensive game. His offensive game is pretty talented as well.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is, like, if you are a 5'11" defenseman that has offense, if you have that defensive element to your game and you're tough to play against and you're making things happen, that does create a lot more avenues for you to build a career in the NHL. I think that's really important for him. And the other thing crazy, with those young defensemen, you also had Verhoeff, who had 21 goals last year, which was the most ever by
Yeah.
a 16-year-old defenseman in the league. And so, a big reason why I think he's going as a 17-year-old, a young 17-year-old to
Young.
college
Yeah.
this year. So, that's the thing that we're going to talk about, because we will talk a bit more about Verhoeff. So we'll save that for later. All right. So, Cam, another guy that I think has probably performed up to expectations at the very least, and is a guy that, we kind of expected to put forth this more physically dominant performance, is one of the most physically dominating specimens in terms of the guys at this age. And that's Ethan Belchetz of the Windsor Spitfires and Team Canada. And he is, produced at a level that we essentially expected from him, but also just the physically imposing nature of his game. Almost 6'5", over 225 pounds. At any under 18 tournament, that is a player that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. But he's also shown the hands, and I think the skating's fine. I think there's a lot of good things that come with this player. I think the key is now, does he put it all together, especially when we get back to the OHL season? But what have you seen from him so far when you've been watching Team Canada?
Well, he's not small, man. That's for sure. So he obviously stands out on the sheet very noticeably. And it's funny. I think about this kid, like going back to when he was draft eligible into the OHL, right? He was the first overall pick. He put up like nearly 50 goals in like 30 games playing for Oakville. And he was so much bigger than everybody else. Like he was also already 6'4", and I think 200 and, close to 220 at that point too. So that was 2 years ago. He stepped into Windsor last year, did fine, 17 goals, but this kid is a goal scorer. He is excellent around the net, very, very good hands around the net, and you just can't move him. And so for some of these players, when they're big in AAA or they're big in junior, it's like eventually that advantage, that physical advantage, it dissipates. It's not going to with him. Some guys are just big enough that they're going to get to the NHL and they're still going to be big. And he's going to be one of them. Now we'll see what he plays at when he's trimmed down and he's got his man strength on him there. Is that going to be at 225 or is that going to be like 235 like Slavkovsky? But he's a big, big man. And, I might have mentioned this last week, I forget, but one scout texted me and said he looks an awful lot like JVR out there, James Van Riemsdyk. And I'm like, I totally agree. That net front presence, that ability to have the power moves and to handle it in tight and get off the wall. But I think probably none of that is new. But what might be the most interesting thing so far are the feet look quicker. He looks like he's
Yeah.
accessing his edges a little bit better. The first 3 steps are noticeably quicker, a little more explosive, because last year watching him, I was really wondering, is he going to be able to move well enough to be a viable top of the draft pick? You know, is he someone that a team can look at and be like, you know what, there's a frontline winger for us, or it's like the feet aren't quite there. And I think he's progressing now where you could be like, maybe you feel comfortable taking him in that, 5, 6, 7 range because of the uniqueness of his power forward game. And if he can even be NHL average at skating, or God forbid, slightly above, well, then you've got the potential for like a real unicorn.
Yeah, and I think teams will definitely they're gonna give him every opportunity to show that over the course of this season if you can get that with the goal scoring tool that he has. And and I think the other thing outside of JVR, I think in terms of play style, really good comp, and then you add the meanness element that Belchet's played with at times last year. A lot of guys wanted to challenge the young kid, and he was more than willing to engage in those opportunities. And he ended up with 48 PIMs, not a ton, but he did have several fighting majors in there on top of it, and he does hit. So there's that. He has 6 points so far at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, leading Canada's forwards. But that brings me to another forward to talk about. And, it's another guy that I know we talked about in the preview, but he's delivered in a real way, and that's Mathis Preston. And I mean, he does a little bit of everything. He's made some plays throughout the course of the tournament, and has reminded us, hey, there's a lot of skill in this player. There's a lot of elements that are going to get you excited in terms of what he does offensively. What have you seen so far from Mathis Preston?
It's exactly what I was expecting from him. He is, he wasn't maybe excellent against the Finns. He was fine. But he's he's cerebral, he's darting, he's quick, he's got these sublime handles to do with it. He's not a big guy. He's another 5'11" and a little undersized there, a little skinny at this point, a very young for 26 as well, right? Like he's only 6 weeks shy of being a 27. So another really young kid there. I like him. I like him a ton. I can't really say enough about this player. I think that he checks all the boxes. He is, he played obviously in Spokane next to Berkeley Catton, and comparing those two at the same age, I like Mathis Preston better at the same age as Berkeley Catton. I think he has another level to his game that we're going to see. And we've seen Catton just destroy the West the last couple of years, right? And so I have high hopes for Preston this year to really pop and kind of solidify himself. And another one who's a winner. Right? Like he led the U17s in goals. He was an all-star there. Like he won a championship in AAA. Like he's got a good chance of winning another gold medal here at the Hlinka. He's a player that I've had my eye on for a little while, and he's not disappointing early on here through the round robin play at the Hlinka.
Yeah, 5 points so far for him in the tournament and just looking solid. A guy that's kind of popped a little bit later in the tournament is Sarnia Sting forward Beckham Edwards, another guy that was at the was in the mix. They had initially brought him to the under 18 Worlds last year. Didn't end up getting in as they got more replacement guys, but now he's in this situation. He had 45 points last season with Sarnia, and now you've got him here. He's got 2 goals, some big goals here in the tournament, 3 points over 3 games. He's another guy, 6'1", a 181. I think that there's a lot of expectations on him in terms of where he's going to go in terms of elevating his game for Sarnia in the OHL this year. A guy that I think could be a first round draft pick. It's not a guarantee. I think he's looking good for that, but that's the thing is at this early stage, he's not one of those guys that you put the ultimate stamp of approval on. But he's one that you watch, and he's starting to really turn it up a little bit here in this tournament, isn't he?
Yeah, recently verified on Elite Prospects, Beckham Edwards. I think he is. I think he's a first rounder. I do. I think he's going to end up being a first rounder. Probably in that outside of the top 20 in all likelihood. But he's he's a 6'1" center. He has some good weight behind him. He plays like a pretty straight up game when he wants to. Like he'll play chip and chase, north south, defensively responsible. But then we'll see him flash some higher end skill plays too, right? Like he scored that opener against Finland on like the first shift of the game, where he had a guy draped all over him, took the little backhand pass, came out to the dot, spun, fired, roofed it short side. He's got that. He had the wraparound goal there yesterday too against the Czechs. basically kind of like cook them. And that was kind of curtains for their tournament. No, I think this is a really interesting player. And one of these guys that kind of falls into that, Braden Coots, maybe Cole Reshney, that type of draft spot in this coming draft where
Yeah.
we could kind of see him anywhere from 15 to 25 or something like that. But he's an interesting player. And I do think he's a first rounder. I think he's doing himself some favors early on. Not a ton of points, 2 goals, three points. And that's just fine. But I think you're going to like him for his defensive responsibility. And I mean, the guy scored 25 last year for Sarnia. Like he's as a rookie, like that's a pretty decent start.
It's a big number. Yeah. It's really nice. And he's, I mean, you just continue to elevate and you get opportunities to move up those lists. And I think he's one of those guys definitely that you look on like the watch list. Maybe he's not in that top 15, but he's going to be that next tier of guy that is going to be pushing for that. One other Canadian player I wanted to talk about a little bit, and obviously hyped him up going into the tournament. I had pretty high expectations, but it's been a little bit quiet for Tynan Lawrence so far. He was just named captain of the Muskegon Lumberjacks. It sounds like all things are set for him to be back with Muskegon. We talked about him a little bit last week. He's going to be back in the USHL, going to be the featured draft prospect in the USHL this year, a guy that I'm especially high on after last year's postseason with Muskegon being the MVP of the Clark Cup playoffs. But just 2 points so far for him in this tournament. And I think that they had him in a, at least an elevated role to start, but it seems like some of these other forwards have kind of supplanted him in terms of where they're going and how they're playing.
Yeah, you're right. That the Rock boys and Preston and Belcha, it's like they're seeing more offensive opportunities than Lawrence is. He's still a beast. I still think he's a beast too. Like it's been a slow progression. And talking about young players, right? He's an August birthday, so he's like 4 weeks or 5 weeks away from being a 27 too. So, like you said, though, feature prospect this year in the USHL, he's going to get a load of like airtime. They're going to really hone in on him. There's probably going to be a lot of noise chasing him around every rink this year in the USHL. So we'll see how he handles all of that as being just a young kid and kind of being on that superstar level at that league. But I'm not too concerned about the start that he's had. We'll see how he goes in these medal rounds. Obviously now the test is on, but even if he ends this event with 1 point, I'm not concerned, right? It's August. We'll let's see where we're at in May at the U18s, right? And then we'll get a real look.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can hurt yourself at this tournament. You can really only help yourself, and that's and it's temporary. And I think that more and more teams are diminishing, like we talked about it last week, they're diminishing the amount of weight that they're going to put on this. It just happens to be that so many of the top level guys are available to be at this tournament, and that's maybe the best look that they get at some of them. Some NHL general managers are out there. In Trenton and Brno, both really nice places in terms of if you're looking Brno. I've been to Brno, and I think Brno is going to be hosting a World Juniors here before all is said and done, and it's nothing announced, but I hope that that's the case because that'll be fun. So keep an eye out on that one. But anyway, let's move along to some other teams because I do want to talk. We're not going to spend as much time because I think that a lot of these guys we're going to learn about throughout the course of the season. But I did want to touch on Sweden and the two players that I think, we knew Viggo Bjork was going to be there, but the two guys that everybody was kind of zoning in on, these are probably going to be their leading players, have been, and that's Marcus Nordmark, Elton Hermansen. Nordmark was leading the tournament with 9 points. They actually fell behind Team USA. They were down 2-0, then 3-1. They ended up winning that game 5-3. This is a team that is scoring in bunches, but Nordmark and Hermansen are the two guys that have done it the most. Hermansen has 7 points in the tournament. Each of them have 4 goals. Nordmark, not a huge guy. Hermansen has a little bit more of that size. So they're two guys that I think are going to be interesting. We've seen some good Swedish defenseman performances as well. So that's nice to see. I think we've had a couple of years where they've been only okay. And we did have Sasha Boumedienne go last year in the first round, but there's other guys that, didn't look as good. So it seems like this could be a very strong class for Sweden, not just based on this, but based on the last 2 years. Any lingering thoughts about Nordmark and Hermansen in terms of what you've seen from them?
Well, I like it. I like when the Swedes do well. It's definitely going to be a step up from last year's class. And obviously Stenberg and Bjork are the top two there. But I mean, Nordmark, is like effortless skill. Hey, like his
Mhm.
skating stride, his ability to handle at top speeds, like it just literally, he doesn't need much room to make a play. It's just everything seems like he's doing it with like the cigarette in his mouth, right? Like it's just like it's out there for a skate, but he's flying around, he's making moves, he's very calm, he's very poised, all around offensively gifted, and as I think really cerebral too. And I think that maybe when people are looking for like hockey IQ, when a player makes the game look easy, that's often because they're super smart. They know where to be. They know how to change pace. They know how to create separation, all those things. And like, even like for not being a big guy, like his physical skills around the boards, I think are promising too. So he's definitely one to watch, as a top 2 round guy, but this is a heck of a start to his draft eligible campaign.
Yeah, and I think with Nordmark, he's listed at 6'1", 183. He's not, but like it felt like he didn't have necessarily
Physical.
that
Yeah.
strength. And now
Yeah.
now we're starting to see a little bit of that. But the other thing about him too, last year with the U17 program, basically anytime he puts the Sweden jersey on, he's been a dynamo. 30 points in
Yeah.
20 international games with Sweden last year, and then was really only a point per game player in the U20 league as a 16-year-old, and was more dominant in the U18 level, particularly in that their national level leagues. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot more to be learned about him. Same thing with Hermanson. I think Hermanson has shown over the course of the last 2 years that, he has been a proven scorer, also 6'1", right shot guy. He had 36 points in the U20 ranks last season, 18 with the U17 national team, 5 goals in the U17 challenge. This year, he has 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points. I mean, so great to see Sweden in that real competitive. They had a great game with the USA. They had a tough start, and then all of a sudden just turned it on. This is a team that will be dangerous at other international events as the season goes on. But
Mm-hmm.
moving along to Team USA, you know, the US team, they don't send the NTDP players. They don't always have their best, but I've actually really liked the way that I've seen them play. They'd had, basically one bad period against Sweden. They've been competitive. I think they're going to give Canada a good run here. I don't think that they're going to beat Canada. I think the depth is not there. But the guy that's leading them in scoring right now is a player that I think more people are going to start paying attention to for next year's draft, and that is Blake Zelensky, who played for the Des Moines Buccaneers last season, will play for them again this
Mm-hmm.
season, at least as of right now, unless anything changes. As we know in this landscape, it feels like anything can change in a moment. But right now on pace to return to Des Moines. And this is a guy, 6 points so far. He's looked like a talented playmaker. He's been effective on the power play. Really nice release on his shot. I think he's making great
Mm-hmm.
decisions with the puck. Blake Zelensky all of a sudden feeling like, hey, the U.S. team always needs these guys to step up. They're the guys with less pedigree. They haven't got as much attention. They're the guys that didn't make the NTDP. They got a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Blake Zelensky is playing like that kind of player right now.
And that's what you want. That's what you need at this event, right? You need those guys that do have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they see this as a real opportunity because you don't have the program players here. So this is your time to shine early on in the year. And then come U18 time, are you getting airlifted in, right? Are you that guy who gets to jump in with the program players and get one more chance to really improve your draft stock heading into the draft, right? We saw Trevor Connolly do it a couple years ago. Didn't end all that great for him, unfortunately. But, Ben Kevon last year, like we do see these guys do it, and then they can make an impact. So this is a great early audition for him. Then he goes back to Des Moines, and he was nearly a point a game player last year too, right? As a 16-year-old
Right.
in the USHL, right? So like we should be expecting 50 points, hopefully, anyways, out of him this year, right?
Yeah. I mean, Des Moines had to bring him in mid-season last year, or not mid-season, but early in the season, and say, hey, like,
Early, yeah,
things he was torching, his 16U level. And they're like, looks
yeah,
ready to us. And if you talk to people around the USHL and you say, well, Ben Kevon, who went in the second round of the draft, a lot of people were saying, hey, keep an eye on that Zelensky kid, because there were times where he was the best player that Des Moines had over the course of that second
mm-hmm.
half. They was a team that struggled throughout the year. They've got a new coaching staff this year. They've got kind of some new things going on. We'll see exactly how that translates. But Blake Zelensky now, he's committed to Providence. This is really starting to look like a really solid player. He's got decent enough size. He's still maturing, but 3 goals, 3 assists so far at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. A guy to watch for American fans. He's going to be one that's really interesting. A couple other guys, Calder Varga is a really interesting one as well. Played in the WHL. He is a member of the Kelowna Rockets, so he's going to have a chance to play for a Memorial Cup. Also is committed now to the University of Denver in this new era where it's like, hey, you're playing in the WHL. You can still play college hockey, and he is committed to the University of Denver. Had 24 points last season. Right now, 3 points so far. Any notes on this young guy? He's an Illinois native playing in the WHL.
So he's close to your heart, hey? An Illinois native?
Any Illinois kid gets a couple extra pumps. Yep, that's always happens.
Yeah. No, he's been good. He's been good. And then there's a young kid too, Levi Harper, the 27 eligible, who's kind of been starting to make some noise a bit at the event. It's a pretty decent U.S. team. They're doing better than I thought they would do, right? Like it's an upgrade from last year's team for sure.
It is, and you know what? And to mention Levi Harper, yeah, he is not going to turn 17 until October, so he is a 2027 draft eligible. He played for Shattuck St. Mary's last year. He is a 5'11" right shot defenseman as well. He has 3 goals in the tournament. Nasty little release on him. He's got some ability to make plays at the offensive blue line, and he was playing for Shattuck St. Mary's last year. So Saginaw Spirit this year. Another one of those guys where I'm sure a lot of colleges are going to be making calls on him after this as well. And the way that these guys prepare for this tournament, they go to the U.S. Festival, and he was representing the Southeastern District as a Tampa, Florida native, and he had 7 points at the Select Festival for the Southeast District. So that is, this is a guy that's really put himself on the map with his performance. So again, if you listen to this podcast right away, then you'll have a chance to watch the semifinals, which are Friday. I believe it's TSN in Canada, NHL Network in the United States, Canada versus USA at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Odds are you are listening to this after that game happens. So hopefully you get the chance to check the highlights. All right, Cam. So let's move on and talk a little bit about. There were a couple other guys that we wanted to touch on, but we're just kind of running short on time. So I'm gonna skip right ahead to our next thing, which is a bit of a bigger topic because my buddy Frank Saravalli decided to throw a little gasoline out there, a little, and the interesting thing is that I had a conversation separate of that, not too long after this tweet went out there, and I'm trying to pull up Frank's tweet because it got ratioed in such a way that but it's one of those things where it's like, hey, this is interesting, but but Frank said not only is Keaton Verhoeff going to make the World Junior team, bold statement, but he's also going to give Gavin McKenna a run for the money for the number 1 overall between now and June 2026. And so that got all sorts of quote tweets and replies and a lot of anger. And, Frank is definitely, he has been known to rile people, and this one did it. And I love it because now it gives us content, Cam. It gives us content. Is it crazy to say that Keaton Verhoeff will give Gavin McKenna a run for his money to be the number 1 pick in 2026?
So here's the thing. I love Keaton Verhoeff. I think he is a hell of a player. I've also seen Keaton Verhoeff play a lot. I've seen him play for the Royals. I've seen him play internationally. I've seen Gavin McKenna play a lot. I would feel fairly comfortable putting an opinion out there. I wonder how many games Frank has seen Keaton Verhoeff play. I didn't see him at any Royals games, let's say that. But so to put that out there, that's probably contributed to the ratio because he's an NHL guy. He doesn't cross over into junior so much. So it's like, is this an opinion or is this someone feeding you that information? So we'll start with that. But is it outrageous to think that it could be a discussion in June? Absolutely not. We're talking about a 6'4" right shot defenseman who's going to be playing college hockey as well as Gavin McKenna. So we're looking at positional, we're looking at, he's a younger player. So there's a longer, runway for him. He brings a lot of interesting elements that teams are desperate to get in their system. Now, that said, if he could move like Matt Schaefer, if he could move like Erasmus Dahlin, then it's like, I think he's the number one player in this draft class, because that would supercharge him to the moon. It would just be like, yes, Gavin McKenna, your offensive upside is tremendous, but you are not a big player and you're a winger and you're a little bit older for this class. Sorry, we're going to take this super young, highly talented, crazy mobile defenseman, but he doesn't move like those guys. Not yet, anyways. So, getting to North Dakota, I think, and this is just purely conjecture on my part, but if I was in his shoes and deciding where I wanted to spend my draft eligible season and where I could get the most improvement moving out of Victoria and going to North Dakota, my skating would be a big part of that, is that I can work in the room. I can get those fast twitch fibers going. I can be doing plyos in this state of the art, setup, and doing my sprints and doing all these box jumps. And I'm working with the Swiss ball, and I'm really trying to get those feet quicker, and I'm trying to lengthen out that stride, and I'm trying to build some lower half strength and quickness. And you're going to get that a lot more in college. Now, you're also going to get a nice jump up in competition too. So I'm very, very curious how he's going to be at the beginning of the year compared to where he is at the end of his freshman season, because people are probably going to jump all over him if he struggles at the beginning of the year. Be like, oh, he wasn't ready. It was a bad move. I don't think so. Even if he does struggle at the beginning of the year, I think that's just going to be part of the course that he's going to have to chart through. And then let's see where he's at in March. Let's see where he's at the U18s. Let's see if he does make Team Canada, which I think is a very, very good potential that he will, especially if those, Dickinson and Perrick and Schaefer are all in the NHL. That opens up a whole host of opportunities for him. He's going to have a lot of chances to prove himself throughout this year. So I do not think the sentiment behind Frank's tweet is too far off. A little bold, coming from someone that I doubt has watched the player too much, but I don't think it's crazy to think that at the end of the day, it could be a discussion.
Right. And I think that it all comes down to a couple of things. And if you believe that Keaton Verhoeff is going to be a number one defenseman in the NHL, and I mean, he certainly has the tools to potentially be that, is a top line winger versus a number one defenseman. That's the debate, right? Like, what is the more valuable thing if all things are equal? And you say, okay, well, I'm looking at the positionality, as you mentioned, like that's part of the discussion. I think that was part of the discussion this year about, like, with Matthew Schaefer, is like, I don't know if any of these other guys are going to be a top line player. I'm pretty sure Gavin McKenna, when all is said and done, will be a top line winger. And yeah, so I think that there's a lot there. I think both players are going to have, like, the one thing, Penn State has a fairly limited non-conference schedule. North Dakota has a pretty tough one. I believe they're playing, I have to double check, but I think they're playing Boston University or Michigan State, one of those blue blood programs that they're going to play at some point next season.
Great.
They've even got like St. Thomas in at the X, and that's, an interesting dynamic of an event. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of things. I just kicked my camera twice. So if anybody's watching, I just like, so luckily we're good. I'm trying. Yeah. But anyway, but Verhoeff, to me, like, he's not going to probably put up those eye-popping numbers. Like, if he puts up numbers similar to what Owen Power did, that's actually a pretty good season for a true freshman defenseman, especially when it's 17 years old.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, it is a tough, like, both of them playing college hockey. It is going to be tough. They're going to have struggles at times where they're not doing it. So it's going to be a lot to watch.
Yeah, like Gav too. Like, I don't, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to go put up video game like numbers. It's like, dude, it's a jump up. Like, I know he torched the West, right? Like, CHL player of the year as a D-1. Like, he is so good. And I think the world of this kid, and I think he will rise to the occasion, but like, let's not pencil him in for 71 here, right? Like, he could do it. He could do it, but let's not just expect that right out the gate, right?
Right. Yeah. It is. And I do think that, as we mentioned it a bit last week, that the guys that are entering college hockey, there is a level jump that exists there. And it's not in, maybe, like, you say, okay, well, I can do some of the things I did in junior, but you can't do a lot of them. And that's where you start kind of breaking some of those habits that, like Gavin had all the time and space that he could want. And that was largely created by him. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but like that, the windows shrink a little bit more. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. But again, I'm with you too. I think that Verhoeff is a very realistic option for Canada at the World Juniors, because those guys that we think could make the NHL. I mean, like Calgary is the way that they're talking about Parekh is like he's going to be on their team. It's just a matter of if he
they want him.
And then Schaefer, how many games is he going to play? We're going to talk about that, and then Dickinson, all of those different things that kind of come into play. There's a lot there. So again, like I think to say it is insane, I think is wrong, because you also look at Keaton Verhoeff as a U17 defenseman in the CHL, and the WHL and the OHL are different leagues, but Matthew Schaefer at the same age, and we're going to talk about this later too.
Yeah.
And at the same age, not close in terms of production and the things that he was a better skater, but beyond that, what were the things that you could say that he did better than Keaton Verhoeff has done at this stage of his career? And the answer is not a whole lot. So still, and that's not a slight to Schaefer. That's just saying,
Yeah, I will say Schaefer was better at the U18s as an underager than Keaton was at the U18s last spring. We saw that jump from Schaefer at the end of 23 or 24. We were like, ooh, yeah, he wasn't that great for Erie, but goddamn, he looks good in Finland here. Where Keaton was good, came in late.
Pretty not bad. Right? Pretty not bad.
Airlifted in too, so which is always tough too, right? To come in kind of after the tournament begins too, and then just stepped right in. Looked a little sluggish on that first game, and then it was off to the races. First power play, like he was great. But I would give the nod. The skating, right? It's the skating. When you can skate like Matty Schaefer, it just affords you so many opportunities. And so Verhoeff uses his physical tools and his brain a little bit more because he has to. And I'm not even saying he's a bad skater by any means. I should make that very clear. I'm not saying he's a poor skater. I'm just saying he is not an 8. He's not a star level skater like we've seen a couple of these guys do in the past.
Absolutely. And and it's going to be fun. And the thing is that the draft is more fun when there is drama about who is going to be number one, but I also think that this isn't that we're not trying to stretch this into existence. I just think that Verhoeff isn't as well known as McKenna is, and nobody will be, in the same way that nobody was touching Connor Bedard. At least when McDavid was around, people had an idea who Jack Eichel was, like where that's the thing. But even still, but what we're seeing at the Hlinka Gretzky and everything else is that, hey, there's a lot of intriguing talent. There's a long way to go. Let's see where it all goes. But I think to say that Verhoeff can't do that is maybe premature. So all right. Here's what I got. So Cam, I was just thinking about different things, and obviously consuming a lot of podcasts, we're doing a lot of different things. I was like, you know what? I think it's time for us to maybe challenge each other a little bit. Maybe give us, just to have a little bit of fun, to break things up. And it's also an opportunity for the audience to participate in this little exercise that we're going to do. It's called the Called Up Challenge. Okay. It's not the challenge. No copyright infringement there. MTV, settle down. I don't know. Back in my day, it was called the Real World Road Rules Challenge, and now it's just the challenge. But this is the Called Up Challenge, and we are not going to do physical feats of strength or anything like that. What we are going to do is try to stump each other a little bit on the prospect front. And we're going to do this in a variety of different ways over the course of weeks. We probably won't do it every single week, but every once in a while, we want to give each other a little bit of trivia and give you a little bit of trivia to answer at home. I know when they do this on like 32 Thoughts, I'm screaming into my phone at the co-host, like, I know the answer for this. You do that. And then you can also let us know how long it took you to get the correct answer. So if you want at home, here's how it's going to go. I am going to give Cam, and he will do the same for me, 3 context clues of a player, including their draft year. The one stipulation is we got to include their draft year. So that's one. And the rest of it will be other context clues, and then we have to get it. We can also ask for one additional hint and we have to answer the question in 30 seconds because we're not going to let it go on and on and on where we don't get it. We don't, if we get the wrong answer on the first one, we're not going to ding any buzzers or anything. We're just going to let it go until that 30 seconds is up. I'm actually going to set it on my cellular telephone here. Is that what the kids call it these days? The cellular telephone?
Your flip
so
phone?
We're going to go ahead and give this a 30-second timer. And I will start, Cam. I'm going to give you some context clues. This timer will start after I've read the first 3 context clues. All right.
Okay.
And there, for each of us, it can be different kind of topics, but here is where we're at. All right. I'm going to try to start off with something that I think may be easy. I'm not sure, but it doesn't start easy with the draft year. Okay.
Oh God.
So this player was drafted in 2011. Okay.
Okay. I'm thinking Huberdeau's draft year. All right. Okay.
All right. He has 994 career points in the National Hockey League during the regular season.
900.
And one of the junior teams that he played for was the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies in the QMJHL.
So is it Jonathan Huberdeau? Is it Hubie?
It's not Huberdeau.
It's not Huberdeau. 2011. That was Huberdeau's year, wasn't it? Or was he yeah, it was. And he's got 900 points in the league. 900 points in the league. Jeez, coming out of the queue. Because it's not Nate Mack, it's not Jonathan Drouin. That was different draft years. It's not 2011. Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you this: he was not drafted out of the QMJHL. So that's an additional hint.
Oh no, that's gonna mess me up for sure. Wasn't drafted out of the queue, so he came over to the queue after he was drafted. He is Nikita Kucherov.
Bang! You got it.
Hot dang!
With 3 seconds to spare, Cam Robinson nails it. Nikita Kucherov, 994 points.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this guy's got to be a superstar.
58th overall out of the Red Army junior team. He did play an additional year in the KHL, then got signed by the Quebec Remparts, traded to the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies, where he had 53 points, and then an additional 24 in the playoffs. Then went to the Syracuse Crunch. Then he was with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the rest is history. He had 121 points last year after having 144 the year before. He is a freak. So that is it. All right. So we've got Nikita Kucherov. So well done, Cam. You got it there.
That was stressful.
The buzzer kind of was getting ready to sound. I am now going
to get my timer out.
Yep. And I can time myself too, but I'm ready to go. Okay. So, all right. What do you got?
Whew, that was stressful. I'll say that much. This is fun though. I like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing. All right, we have a great potential to look like idiots here.
Yes. I assumed that's what was going to happen to me. I was like 900 points. How do I not know who this is coming out of the queue? Okay. Mine's not, you were messing with me there. Junior team post draft. I'm going to make this one. This one I feel like is going to be a bit easier for you.
Okay. Go.
All right. This player, drafted in 2015. Terrible draft class. 2015. He is an American. And his career totals are 204 goals and 434 points.
434 points. All right. I'm starting my timer.
Okay.
2015. Can I get one more hint?
You may. His career best, he has one 40-goal season under his belt.
140-goal season. 2015, a 40-goal season. Is it Jason Robertson?
Got another real good hint for you. It is not J-Rob.
Okay.
Wasn't he 2018?
Yeah, I'm out of control right now. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give you another hint, okay? He did not play for the program. He is a USHL boy.
40 goal season, drafted in 2015, did not play for the program. 2015. Let's see. So he's a 97 or a 98.
He's a 97.
Or 90,
I'm going to give
90,
it to you right now.
shoot.
He is a former Waterloo Blackhawk.
Oh gosh, that was Brock Besser. Okay, so
There he is.
So
There he
it's
is.
Brock Besser. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing because you know what? The 400 plus points and I remember I was at that draft and I remember Brock Besser walking down and we know Brock. I mean, like what a guy.
What a stud.
Like the suit and walking down in the way his hair was, he kind of looked like the bad guy from an 80s movie. Like in a
it's charming
movie where he was like
from
jock.
Shrek.
Oh, but charming. But like, you know, like that jock that was like kicking sand at the Revenge of the Nerds guys. That's kind of how I felt like.
But he is a prince.
Walking me to that. Yeah. You walked me to it. And I feel awful.
I got you there.
Like the second you said 2015 and like it's like all these guys, and I was like, wait a second. And then I psyched myself out immediately.
Yes.
Immediately.
It's a hard game. It's a hard game.
It is a hard game. It is a hard game, but there are people screaming at me right now. They're like, how you needed the Waterloo Blackhawks? Like as soon as you gave me the junior team, I knew what it was. So
yes, I figured.
All right. So here we go again.
Okay.
My turn. And Cam, we're gonna get through this one here quick. Okay.
I'm ready.
This one is the 2013 draft. We're going 2013 draft. This player has 571 career points. His junior team was the Sioux City Musketeers in the USHL. 2013, 571 Sioux City Musketeers. Your time.
Oh my goodness.
Now.
I'm thinking 2013 draft. We got like Horvat and Ty Domi, Max Domi, and is that Nichushkin? Oh God, man, Rasmus Ristolainen. I can't think of Americans in that class at all. Coming out of
all right, I'm going to give you another hint of where he lived because it's a unique hometown for an NHL player. Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, that does nothing for me. You're the mid-country guy. You're the Midwest guy. Oh man, 2013. Is it Jakey Gensel? No,
you got it. You got it
with a Hail Mary.
You got it. Oh, that at the buzzer. Like seriously, that is impressive. So Jake Gensel, Jake Gensel was born in Omaha, Nebraska. His dad Mike was coaching the Omaha Lancers. Then he went to University of Nebraska Omaha. Grew up primarily in Minnesota though. So that is where the Omaha, Nebraska can be a little bit of a twist there. So
Jake man, for some reason I had him in my head as a 2012. I was thinking he was a 2012, and I should know better. He's one of my best calls. I had him as a first rounder, and he went in the third.
Man, and you know what? He is one of those guys I use it as an example of the undersized kind of guy that really pops in the USHL, and for whatever reason, those guys continue to get kind of passed over, like guys like Shane Pinto and skinny. Not even undersized, but just USHL players and Nyes and others that like people don't believe what they did. But yeah, so that's a good one. All right, let's wrap it up here. Let's allow me to embarrass myself a little bit further.
Okay, I've got one also from the 2013 class.
Ooh, okay.
Hometown Brampton.
Ooh, okay.
Hometown Brampton. I'm going to give you the career season. 34 goals, 82 points, 78 games. 2013 class from Brampton.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for that?
2013.
You feel good about that?
Best season.
Yeah.
Brampton, Ontario. 2013. So 2013.
It was a high pick.
I need one more clue.
Okay. I mean, I got a couple here, but I feel like this one's going to give it right away, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. The Ottawa 67s. He played for the 67s.
Oh, shoot. That's not where I was going. That's not what I was thinking. So that should give it away. That should give it away, but it's for whatever reason, it's not giving it away for me.
Excellent player. He came into his draft year pegged as like he could go 1, and I believe he went 8, somewhere around there.
2013.
Wow.
Well, I know I'm over time.
You are,
but I don't want to. I don't want to quit on it.
He has
but
moved.
I think I'm over.
He's moved around. He's played for 3 Canadian teams.
Wow. 3 Canadian
3
teams.
Canadian.
Ottawa 67. So I like, for whatever reason, I am like completely blank. Like as soon as you said 67s, my mind destroyed.
I thought that was
itself.
a giveaway.
Like
I thought that was it.
It should have been.
I thought that was like, oh, I just gave it to him. I can see him wearing that jersey. Big power center. Came in looking like he was going to be a 1. He could have been a top 2 pick. He went 6. I just looked it up.
6th in 2013.
Comeback player last year.
What?
He may or may not have a Bill Masterton in his back pocket.
Somehow that didn't help.
He just won the Bill Masterton.
He just won it.
This year. He just won it. Sean Monahan.
I am an idiot. That hurt.
It's all good. 3 like, Canadian teams. I thought that might give it to you too.
For whatever reason. And 13 is the draft that I started in. You know, like that's the worst. That's the worst. That is an embarrassment. So everybody, I
am the king of this new game.
That got that immediately. I can't believe it. Like I have like no recollection of just anything that just happened. It like you said 67.
Mine went
like,
blank.
Dang it. So this, by the way, everybody, this was the idea that I said to Cam this morning. I was like, let's try this. It should be fun. And I just ruined it on day one. No,
I think it was a great time.
We're 100% doing it again. I'm going to study up a little bit more for next time because I used to have this tremendous recall, Cam, and it has left me as I turned 41 this summer.
Yeah,
it's gone. So I don't know. I'm going to try to, next week is going to be better. We're going to do other things. We're going to try a bunch of different stuff with this, just to give you guys a little bit of something that's not so newsy and just like, just have a little fun, because it breaks things up. But now we're going to get back to the segments that we're used to, the segments that we are our bread and butter, and that is Beyond Belief. And just before we started this podcast, and once again, for those of you that have never seen it before, Beyond Belief is where we read each other a statement that is, and the other has to decide if it's beyond belief or believable. But just before we started recording today, Caleb Desnoyers was announced will be out for approximately 12 weeks after undergoing wrist surgery. The Utah Mammoth announced this. Point of fact there, he is not yet signed with Utah, so I did think it was interesting that the announcement came from Utah. But it makes sense. He's obviously their draft rights guy. But 12-week recovery. So my question to you, Cam, or my statement to you is Caleb Desnoyers' 12-week recovery timeline, which puts him out about until November 1st, maybe a little bit further than that, knocks him out of World Junior contention for Team Canada.
I think that's a true statement. I think that cooks him. And it also explains why his agent has been exceptionally cagey with me as I've been hounding him to be like, is he going back to Moncton? Is there a chance he's going to the college route still? And it was like very like around the bush. And so now I see. Bummer, big bummer to lose that time. We knew that it would have been nagging him for months and months, but I do believe that missing those 3 months will knock him out of contention to make a World Junior spot. Not to say that he won't be there the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he can come back and if he's 100%, I think it's beyond belief. Like I think that his style
it's
of
possible.
Game, his style of game to me is so integral. But like if he's not back and he's not doing those things immediately,
that lineup is so
makes
deep,
it hard
though.
because that decision, they have like 3 weeks to make that decision, and center depth is going to be an issue. So, but I just think that you got to get him in camp. So I think he's in contention. Will he make the team? That's where it becomes a little bit more difficult to say. But he's one of those guys
to get up to
too,
speed.
With a late birthday. He doesn't, so yeah. So we'll see.
Wait, is he a late birthday? He's not eligible after this year? Is that what you're saying?
That's
is this his last
correct.
crack at it? Oh,
yes.
Okay. I was thinking, when's his birthday?
So,
when's his birthday?
Wait,
what's his birthday?
He's or wait, no, I'm sorry. I did that completely wrong. He's not a late birthday. So he does have. So once again, I didn't think what happened. Yeah, Sean Monahan broke my brain. It's all gone. Caleb Desnoyers, April of 07. He's fine. He'll be back next year.
We go. There we go.
I am an idiot. So what am I even talking about? So we're moving on. Yes, but that is So
I
I
got
think
one for you.
I still think that you have to give him an opportunity. But yeah, with the opportunity to make it another year, then I think that he'll be fine.
But you're right. I think if he was healthy, there's a very good chance he's on that team. But Canada's team is going to be pretty jacked up this year too.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one for you. Keaton Verhoeff will thrive as a true green as can be freshman, 17 all year. He will thrive at the NCAA level.
Yes,
It's tough.
I believe he will. I believe he will. So I'm going to say that
Nice.
is believable. The thing is that so with North Dakota, here's the list of guys that they kind of have surrounding him. Abram Weeb, who's a Vegas draft pick, Andrew Strathman. They also have EJ Emery. They have Jake Livanavage. They have guys that have play a little bit of college hockey. So you surround him with people. You have Sam Larilla, the reigning USHL Defenseman of the Year, coming in as well. So they have some players that they're going to be
Some
able to
talent.
surround him with. So I do think that gives him the upper hand in terms of, but they're also going to put a ton of opportunity towards him. And the fact that he is going to be there with Cole Reshny, his Victoria teammate, I think that's a really important thing to have that. They've got some really interesting players. Will Zeller's coming in this year. Reshny, Ali Josephson, the Seattle Kraken pick, just committed last week in a very late commitment. They've got some decent pieces around that team that I like. So I think he will thrive. The question is does he thrive in a way like if he thrives, like I think Owen Power thrived as a true freshman, but he didn't necessarily have the kind of numbers that you would expect for a guy that's at least got potential to go number one. I think Keaton Verhoeff will. 21 goals last year in the WHL. I don't think he's going to score more than maybe 6 or 7 this year in college hockey, maybe 8. But still, I think that he's going to be a big time player for them, and he's going to help their power play. He's going to help a lot of different things. I do think he will thrive as a true freshman, a very young, as you mentioned, true freshman.
I like it. I like it. I certainly don't think it's beyond belief. Let's say that. So I think that is a
Yeah,
very plausible scenario. It's hard to be like he's gonna thrive, but like if he goes out and puts up double digit goals, I'm not gonna blink because that dude has a weapon on the blue line and he is gonna see
he
power
really
play
does.
time. I was talking about how Ryan Lynn is, the best defensive defenseman on Team Canada right now. Well, Verhoeff is the best offensive defenseman on Team Canada right now.
Yeah.
They're kind of using them like kind of both in both ways. I think it's very plausible. I think it might it might just be a bit of a slow burn to start.
Sure. Yep. No, it makes sense.
No.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Up next, we've got this for you, Cam. Matthew Schaefer, the number 1 overall pick in 2025, will play 40 or more games with the Islanders next season.
He's playing 82, Chris.
All
He's playing
right.
82. Okay, that is definitely a true statement. No, I think he's making the team. I think he's sticking with the team. I think Canada's not getting him for the World Juniors. I think he is going to be marketable. I think he's going to be impactful for the Islanders, despite being uber young and playing 3.5 games last season. I think he's going to defy the odds in those with those hiccups in the back pocket there, and I think he's going to play for the Isles the full season. 82 might be a bit of a pie in the sky just because who plays 82 at 18, but he's going to be there for the full season.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna say it's beyond belief, and I'm not saying that he's not going to make the team. I think he is going to make the team. But I think that if he does, it's going to have to be in managed situations. I think that they have to be careful with it. I totally agree with you. I think maturity wise, I think all the different things he has it. He has that marketability. I think the team is going to give him every opportunity, but I still, for any player, and especially one as young as him, you mentioned that he is still not 18 years old. He will turn 18
He's 17
on
still.
September 5th. September 5th. He is going to go into training camp as a barely 18-year-old. If anyone can do it, it's him. I think if I'm the New York Islanders, I am playing this thing with kid gloves like you wouldn't believe. And that's me. but we'll see what they say. And I think Matthew Darch is going to make the pragmatic decision and not the emotional one. And we'll see and it could be play him the whole year, keep it going as I almost knock my water glass over, just do everything. So I'm fascinated by it. I think it's an incredible decision that faces them. Do I hope he plays all? Sure. I'd love to see what he can do at that age and see what happens.
I'd like him at the juniors though. Just
I would love to
selfishly.
see him at the World Juniors too. I mean,
I
I
want him
think
at
the
the
World
juniors.
Juniors, we want the star power. Give us all the star power.
Right? I want Zane. I want Dickey. I want them all. Give me all of them.
Yeah, get them all. Bring them all.
Get them all.
Why not?
Why not? It's Christmas. It's a gift. Okay, last
Absolutely.
one. Okay, it's a tricky one.
All right, I'm ready.
We will see a 2025 draftee not named Michael Misa or Matthew Schaefer surprise and make their club out of camp, their NHL club out of camp. How about that one?
I think it's believable. I don't think it's necessarily likely, but I do think that we're going to see some guys maybe get those 9 games, maybe get the opportunity.
Yes.
I think, I think
you have to tell me who it is.
Okay. Well, here's who I think it could be. I think Brady Martin could be one of those guys.
There it is. I think that's the guy. That's the guy.
I think that's the one that what I saw at the World Junior Summer Showcase, and again, we don't read too much into that because it's summer hockey. I saw a player that has a lot of the tools, but still like that pace of that tournament at times was too much for him. I don't think that, the thing is that I think when you surround a player like him with better players, with instruction, with structure, and allow him to kind of play to his identity, he's going to find a way. And I think the way that he plays is so endearing to teammates and coaches that it might just be one of those things where it's like, well, this guy, he's going to go to war for us. So that's what I got. I would say it's believable. And if it's going to happen, I think it's Brady Martin. I think, the question is really, Schaefer, Misa, all those guys, we still have a little bit to figure out with where they're ultimately going to end up. But I'm fascinated. What about you? I'd be interested to hear. Was that you had Martin as that maybe that guy too?
That was a guy, and obviously Desnoyers, if he wasn't injured, he could have been that guy too, right? If he decided hey, I'm gonna sign with Utah and then I'm gonna go to camp just because he's so responsible and he's heady and all that too. But yeah, can't you just see Martin going to Preds camp and just like running over a bunch of 30-year-olds in camp and like getting the energy up and playing defensively well and showing off the shot a little bit and convincing Trotz and company? That's like, we might have to keep this kid around for a minute. Like I could see a player like Brady Martin pulling that off. And do I think he's best served in the NHL next season full-time? No, I don't. I think that they let him go put up 90, 100 points back in juniors and have a World Junior experience and do all those things, that'll be best for him. But if he's there for that, if he's there for 5 games, 8 games, 9 games, whatever, I think he's the guy if anyone's going to do it.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. Develop more of the offensive elements of your game. Continue, like he's got a great shot. He's got a lot of things in his back pocket that he can do at the NHL level and can be that guy that is the physical player, but also is the guy that's scoring goals. And that's what really makes, if that's what you need at the range that you drafted him, he is absolutely a player that's going to help you win hockey games, but let him do it at the best level. And I think that if
maximize it.
Maximizing, exactly. And I think to go back to the OHL and to be a heavy producer, a guy that is driving the bus, that is going to ultimately serve him best in the long term, though it may be difficult to send him home. All right, we are down to our last segment of the show, Cam, and it is our you have to pick one. And we talked a little bit about Keaton Verhoeff versus Gavin McKenna. We're not going to rehash that. We're not going back that. Both of you and I, we already know. We would say Gavin McKenna right now at that point anyway. I have a different question to pose, and it brings up our friend Matthew Schaefer. So I'm going to say, if you have to pick one defenseman, and granted, we are working with a limited deck of information because we don't have Keaton Verhoeff's draft season, but let's project it out. You're building an NHL blue line. You have to pick Keaton Verhoeff, who's 2026 draft eligible, or Matthew Schaefer, the number 1 pick in the 2025 NHL draft. Which defenseman do you pick to build around?
This is a tricky one because
It
it's
is
like
hard.
at the same juncture, we just said it, Verhoeff has had a better junior career. Internationally, Schaefer had a better junior career, probably. Man, it's really hard to not pick the 6'4" right shot guy. But I'm gonna go Matt Schaefer still. I'm gonna do it, and I didn't really consider my options too much. I'm just going with Schaefer because of the skating. The skating, it's so good, and that, just like I said earlier, it affords you everything, right? It allows you to clean up your mistakes. It allows you to mismatch on opposition. Like, it just does everything in it, and it mitigates. He's not small either, right? It's not like he's 5'11". What is he, 6'2" still, Schaefer? So it's like, I think
Yeah.
that erases that 2-inch gap, and that he's a lefty versus a righty, and you put a little more value on the right side. I'm going with Schaefer. But I'm willing to adjust as the season goes on.
Yeah, and
How about you?
I think for me, there's a lot to like about Schaefer, including the fact that really he's not a ton older than Keaton Verhoeff at this point. He's
No, he
about
is. He's like a
8
full
months.
year. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah, he's a full
10
year
months?
older. Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
young for his draft year is what I'm trying to say, is like
Yes.
basically,
Yes.
yeah, but Keaton Verhoeff's a June birth date. He's a September birth date, a year
All
apart.
right. All
Yes,
right. Yeah.
separate birth
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, basically, but for me, Verhoeff has the most complete set. Like, the one thing that with Schaefer, and he's nasty. He does a lot of different things. The skating is good. I think he hits, he's physical. He's competitive. He does all
Mm-hmm.
those things. But I still think that there's still a bit of a jury out situation in terms of Schaefer's overall offensive profile. Like, I think there's still more to be learned about. I think he's going to be a good puck mover? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to make things happen? I think that we're talking about, with Keaton Verhoeff, a high-level point-producing defenseman that has the shot, that has the skills.
Mm-hmm.
He has the size advantage. I think the skating is good. I like the
Mm-hmm.
skating. I like where he's at. I think his mobility is very, especially at that size. I think he's going to play probably at 225 pounds. Maybe he's still
Yeah.
growing a little bit. We'll see. Like,
Hopefully
and
not.
he's going to be a guy. Well,
We
in
don't want
terms of, like, if
6'5". We don't want 6'6".
6'4" is big, but like, he's even
Yeah.
like, he's still like, he came in, I think, like at 6'2" or whatever, whatever he came into junior and added some size to him. And so now he's
Mm-hmm.
got this opportunity. So I think, and we're projecting, because, Verhoeff could go and he could really struggle at North Dakota, and it changes the whole discussion. What we've seen from him, if we're comparing the players' U17 overall picture, to me, Verhoeff's U17 picture is more encouraging. And whether or not that's predictive, there's a lot of debate. How much can you read off of a U17 season? And I think I'm of the belief that a player that plays at the level that Verhoeff did last season, especially when you consider the fact that he was a point per game in the playoffs as well, that
So good.
is, to me, the separator. So this isn't a slight on Matthew Schaefer. We're talking about two guys that are probably like just fractions
Lottery pigs. Yeah.
separated between them. And
Yeah.
a guy that could go number 2 in the draft versus a guy that went number 1 in the draft. There's a lot to like about both these players. This is not a slight against either of them, but I love that you went with Schaefer and that I went with Verhoeff, because now we have two different things, and it allows us to see where that goes over the next 10 to 15 years. And then we'll circle back. I'm sure we'll remember this very podcast segment. And I'll say, I told you when. I told you. Because I'm going to be apparently elderly at that point in 15 years. I hope not, but
Yeah, grandpa.
Cam, what do we got coming up on Elite Prospects here?
And we got all sorts of stuff. We got our first draft meeting coming up. Hoo boy, get that preliminary list out there. We don't normally do preseason prelims, but the people ask and we give. We just brought in some new scouts on the junior side, or on the, I should say, like AAA side. We are hiring too. I think Mitch's inbox has been overwhelmed with application. If the DMs that I've received from people when we posted that we were looking to hire some people is any indication, he will be under a mountain of CVs here. We got our prospect organization or rankings coming out. We'll be ranking our affiliated prospects. That's coming all out all throughout this month and into September. So yeah, EP, we're back and we're rolling.
That's outstanding. Yeah, I'm excited to see all that, and certainly excited to see new voices added to the mix and doing what we do. And I think that everybody, that the most important thing when you want to try something is to start doing it, even if you don't have the backing of someone. Whatever resources you have at your disposal to practice, to do
Use
different
them.
things, do that. Coming up on FloHockey, we got a lot of stuff. It's junior seasons are about a month away as we record this, so we got the junior hockey kickoff coming up on FloHockey. Really excited about that. We've got some announcements coming down the pike that you're going to want to stay tuned for. Really excited about that. Going to be getting our QMJHL coverage kicked off for the first time. Obviously, USHL, ECHL, AHL, all of that. Highly, highly, highly recommend, if you do it, get that annual subscription for FloHockey. The value is outstanding. The number of leagues that you can watch on a given day is insane. We have 45 hockey leagues on FloHockey, just so you know. You don't have to watch all of them. But I mean, what kind of fan are you if you don't
Might as
support
well.
all levels
Yeah.
of hockey? Right, exactly. And youth
Yeah.
hockey and pro hockey, we got it all. I'm really excited to get the season rolling. So many more things coming your way if you are a subscriber to FloHockey. So please do get those subscriptions in, and make sure you're subscribed to this podcast on your audio app of choice. Catch us on YouTube. Got lots of great things coming down this way. So we're having a lot of fun. We're going to do more things. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself as much next time around. But if I do, and you like that, please make sure you leave a 5-star rating and a kind review on your YouTube, on your app of choice.